Welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means, the other two are along for the ride. And Isaac, explain to us why you don't like turkey on Thanksgiving.
I don't like turkey on Thanksgiving because the odds of it actually being good, it's pretty low. So, and then you only get it one time per year. So I just don't like that odds. I don't know.
The numbers guy comes through with numbers. Will explain Thanksgiving should not have turkey on it. So what is the go-to meat on Thanksgiving?
Dude, I really like what's it called? Stuffing.
That's the go-to meat?
Meat? You said meat?
Yeah, I need a meat. I need a protein.
Yeah, like beef. I think just straight up beef, right?
Just a nice little steak? Or are you thinking hamburger, like the ground beef, taco meat?
Sounds good.
Yeah, he said stuffing. Like people throw like sausage in the stuffing and stuff. I think Isaac, that might be the move right there.
We're just gonna skip turkey. We are going straight stuffing and mashed potatoes. He wants yams. Here we go. What up, Brian? Thanks for joining us in the chat. Yeah, we are here a few weeks after last time Tyler and here. We're here to discuss. We have some happenings. The winter meetings, GM meetings happened, and it was boring, just like we predicted. But there's some movement, some things happening. We're going to try to discuss it all throughout these 45 minutes to an hour. But big things, quick things, checking off the box list to make sure that you are up to date with all the news. There are a few minor league contracts signings, and you guys are the experts on this, so whoever wants to take it, just start talking. But the Rockies have signed Adam Lasky to an MILB contract with a spring training invite, and Parker Mushinski to a contract. I am not sure if that has a spring training invite or not to it, but who would like to take the floor, and why should I be excited about a Mushinski in my roster?
I mean, I'll defer to Isaac for Lasky because I know he did a little bit more research into him. But Parker Mushinski has a lot of MLB experience. He's appeared in 31 big league games. He has 5 pitches. So I mean, there's something to work with there. He's pitched for Cleveland. He's pitched for the Astros. Been around a few organizations. I don't think we're expecting any big things from him, but this is the type of move that gives you that. One of those next 5 to 7 guys up from the minor leagues. This is one of those guys. But yeah, both are left-handed, so I think that's a key here. Is your first 2 big minor league, or I guess 2 of 3 minor league signings are left-handed pitchers. First trade of the DePodesta era, a left-handed pitcher. So clearly trying to bolster that group a little bit. But yeah, Adam Lasky, what do you think, Isaac?
Yeah, he's a really interesting arm. Last season in the minor leagues, he was throwing his curveball about 40% of the time. It was his go-to pitch. And I mean, it works pretty well. He has a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. It's nothing special. It did get hit pretty hard, so he went to his best pitch, which is his curveball. Threw it majority of the time. I'm interested to see how the Rockies are going to go about that because curveballs and Coors Field don't historically do great. But as Tyler said earlier, the Rockies might be, or in the group chat, Blake Street Banter group chat, that the Rockies might be going for like a steep approach. So if he can execute that curveball low, induce ground balls, he could be a option in the future. But he struggled with walks. He was walking nearly 13% of batters last year. So he's going to be a guy to just look out for in the spring training, see how his repertoire is going to change, what the Rockies do with it. It's a fun name.
Yeah, Lasky. He would be a starter?
Relief guy.
Reliever? Okay. And then Mushinski.
Yeah, probably. I think both. Yeah, probably relievers. I think they came up through the minors with some starting experience, but just most guys aren't gonna keep that role going forward.
Okay. All right. So we have some reliever starting pitching depth. The rotation sits right now, according to Rockies roster resource: Freeland, Dolander, Gordon, Feltner, McCade Brown. So that's your 1 through 5. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know. I mean, right now that feels like where it's at. Obviously, Gabe Hughes is going to be pushing. But beyond that, I don't know who in the farm, maybe Sullivan, is pushing for that opening day roster. So you added 2 pieces to add to that competition that Depot wants to add to and create. So we'll see what plays out there. And then the guy helping making those decisions just got signed to a multi-year contract contract is Warren Schaefer. How much do you not feel anything towards this move, Tyler? And why does it or does not move the needle?
I mean, I would say if you're thinking on like a scale 1 to 100, 50 being neutral, I'm probably like Hunter being positive. I'm probably like a 52, like just barely above neutral. I think generally this is neutral. The Rockies are the Rockies. We all just watched 2025. They lost 119 games. We're not trying to create a playoff team right now. We're trying to establish a culture. I don't think that's something that we all can speak to. Just the onlookers, media, fans. Like no one can speak to that. The people that can speak to that are in the building. I don't mean to say like we don't get our opinions, but the goal right now is to establish culture, and Warren Schaefer, all accounts are that he is a culture guy, and the Rockies were better under his leadership than Bud Black's last year. And Bud Black ran a lot of traditional, antiquated systems. Warren Schaefer definitely had a little bit more of an eye on some modern trends. It's an improvement from the past. Like, Schaefer was put in a really tough spot, and I think he made the most of that.
Yeah, and bringing back Schaefer does not do any good or any bad. It just really is. And if you're disrupting the rest of the culture that is the Rockies front office, keeping the dugout locker room the most calm and tame and less kind of puppeteered is not a bad thing in a year or two that are just going to be chaos of movement. So I think keeping Warren there is just fine. And he has a great relationship with all the players. He came up with most of these players that are on this roster and who will be coming up and knocking on the door. Like he knows most of these guys. So that's a good thing. And I always appreciated his bringing in the young guys last year. Like it felt so much different than Bud Black at the helm last year. I'm so happy we don't have Joe Madden or some other old head. Like, is Bruce Bochy still around? Like, is he still coaching the Texas Rangers? Bob Melvin. He was the other guy that was rumored or thought would be a good fit. So glad those guys aren't showing up. Like, that would have just been terrible. All right, that's out of the way. Here it is, 40-man rosters. So Michael Toglia and Ryan Rolison were DFA'd, aka dropped off the 40-man list to make room. That put them on the waiver wire for 48 hours, I believe. And one of them got picked up and one of them did not. I think we're both okay. I think we're all okay with both not coming back, knowing the history of the players. But Ryan Rolison got traded to the Atlanta Braves for cash. And then Michael Toglia is officially a free agent. Anything you want to add about these moves? Does this open up a spot at first base for Blaine Krim and Troy Johnson? Do we have a first base opening for Pete Alonso to show up and join out? Anything you want to add to this, Isaac? Are we losing out on a Michael Toglia or Ryan Rolison being DFA'd for whoever we add down the road here?
I mean, losing Michael Toglia is probably best for where the Rockies are at currently. Like, we all saw what he did in 2024. He had a really good season, and he's going to get an MLB opportunity next season because of what he's shown in the past. And like without him being on the roster for this upcoming season, there's nothing holding guys back like Blaine Krim, Troy Johnston, Warming Bernabel. And it's just going to be a lot more leverage because none of those three guys have they have to perform in order to play really. And like, whereas Toglia was a lot more lenient, he was the first round pick. He was that guy that was expected to be good. And those three just don't really have that many expectations, which for this Rockies team, I think is probably better. And as for Rolison, I think that, yeah.
I saw the pause. I heard the pause, and we'll just move on from there. So who is the starting first baseman on opening day, Tyler? We're putting up Twitter polls and all that, but I think your options are Krim, Warming, and Johnston. Or do we sign a free agent at first base? Like, who's starting at first base any day?
I mean, I think just to Isaac's point, we got to wait and see. I would almost think Troy Johnston he had a very good track record in the minor leagues, performed a little bit in the majors even last year. But I like Blaine Krim enough, but I think he's a little bit too feaster. Like the power's going to be there. I don't know that he's going to hit enough. I don't know if we're going to talk about Warming Bernabel later on, but I don't think there's a major league skill set there entirely. If he can make small improvements in some key areas, then he might be a fringe MLB guy. So I think it's between Johnston and Krim. they're going to look at free agents, but ultimately I'd rather they kind of sift through what they've got. You've got Charlie Condon, who could be up in May, June. So I think you want to leave that spot, available. I don't think you want to go commit to, I don't even know who the free agent options are. They're not particularly exciting outside of the polar bear, who I don't want Pete Alonso, because that's a $120, $150 million player that you're going to have to go and add to a team that doesn't need that right now.
But when they're competitive in 5 years, and Pete Alonso's pushing 40, could be worth it. I don't know. I don't want Pete Alonso around here either. Troy Johnston definitely has he's kind of a mix of Warming and Blaine Crim. It kind of feels like. I don't know much about Troy's playing, but looking at his kind of stats, high walk rate, low strikeout rate. However, his zone contact rate is not very, very good. And his traditional numbers are a little low, which is Warming in a bubble. I don't think Warming has too much more to offer at a major league level either. We've talked enough about that. Just first base is wide open. Yeah. Well, let's get into the three that were added. But happy Thanksgiving. Go Goats. Dude, did you eat goats on Thanksgiving? Would that be a meat? Not a yard goat, but a goat? I don't know. Maybe
there's
it could
people
be something.
out there.
Thereall people out there that are eating goat on
out
Thanksgiving. Here it's a meat, it's a chewy kind of meat. No idea if that's true. All right, Luke. Welcome, Luke. Welcome back, Luke. Do you guys like the idea of Lowe or Bell or Rise or Mountcastle for 2 years up to $30 million? I think a Rise has been thrown around in our BSB chat. I don't like Lowe. Definitely don't want Bell. He's too old. Mountcastle would be interesting. I don't know. But I think a Rise of those four would be my votes.
Well, also, did Mountcastle get to? I don't know if he got to free agency.
I think the Orioles signed him. I thought the same, but now that you're saying it, I want to say it out loud.
Yeah,
he got signed by the Orioles.
Yeah, they kept him, which I thought when I saw the news, I did think they were going to non-tender him and he'd be a free agent. But he's not on the market. A Rise would be a lot of fun for sure. Like, yeah, we've talked about that. He could hit 340 or higher at Coors Field. I wouldn't hate Josh Bell. It's a kind of funny thing going around is that he's just consistently like he's one of the better hitters in baseball the second half of like every season he's ever played. But he struggles in the opening half of the season. In April. So frankly, I wouldn't hate Josh Bell. Like, he's someone kind of to the point Isaac made earlier. Like, you don't need to throw super high expectations on Josh Bell, and he could kind of platoon a little bit with the young guys. But again, Charlie Condon is not far off.
Right. Do we see Charlie Condon in May?
I think he had a pretty solid Arizona fall league. He improved his swing decisions, contact rates went up exceptionally. I think it depends on how much he's going to be able to elevate the baseball, and that he struggled with that. He struggled with that his entire professional career. He only hit 1 home run in the Arizona Fall League. If he jumps out the gate swinging and hitting the ball hard, I think there's a chance. And with his power projection and what he's done in the past, I don't see why not. Especially, again, like with the 3 options, there are no guarantees at first base right now.
So quick call up for Charlie Condon. I think May would be super early, but I would be 100% okay with it. It'll be fun to see. Goat is delicious, says Taylor. Roasted lamb is a move. That is a baller move. That is I'm here to just take over the Thanksgiving duties move. That's an alpha move for sure from Brian there. Is Condon set at first base now? Or could he even challenge Karros at third if we sign him for someone else at first base? We're all going to say what position he's going to play when he's called up on 3. 1, 2, 3. First base.
First base.
Yes.
I don't agree with the idea, but it's like, we don't really get it. We don't have a say in that, obviously. So
we'll cover that at a different pod. All right. So the Rockies added 3 to the 40-man roster. I think we went 3 for 3 as a BSB team. We had a little BSB chat poll thing, and we all got Welinton, Herrera correct. We knew that for sure. And Hughes just seems like a lock. And then Sterling Thompson, he is on the 40-man roster. I want to get into Gabe Hughes first. Former first round. He was the first round pick that we covered as BSB. I still remember me and Tyler being live and seeing Gabe Hughes come up. I was like, who the heck is Gabriel Hughes? He wasn't on the list that you gave me to be knowledgeable about. But the Gonzaga draftee from 2022 gets the 40-man nod. I think a little bit because of depth. He was kind of earned it. He hit up AAA last year. I'm not going to throw any traditional stats. I don't like that. But from what I could do, I looked up his first game at AAA to his last game at AAA and compared his arsenal in that through Baseball Savant stuff, because that's the only thing I really have. And I thought it was interesting that in his first game, 5.2 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. Decent debut, right? He only threw 2 curveballs with 22 sliders in that game. His very last game, he went 4 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks, 6 hits, threw 19 curveballs and 0 sliders. I should have looked at where he was pitching, whether it was at home or away for each of those games. Didn't think about that till right now. But I thought that was really interesting, literally going from 95% sliders to 100% curveballs. And then I looked at the game right before his last one. He mixed in some sliders and curveballs in there, throwing 9 sliders and 3 curveballs. So I wonder if there was an altitude thing that I should have looked at the away home stuff there. But his arsenal sits about 91 fastball, 94, 95 max. His changeup is around 85. And then the sliders, 85 miles per hour, and the curveballs sitting around 78. I don't know much about horizontal and vertical depth stuff with all that. It looked league average. Is he a big league pitcher? I don't think so. Not right now. I think he has the ability to be a number 4, number 5 guy, which we have a lot of number 4, number 5 guys. I don't know what the expectation is. And maybe this is the answer, the question for you two. As a former first round pick of the old regime, now officially the old regime, what kind of expectations do we hold on Gabriel Hughes coming in? Friend of the pod, book connoisseur, so be careful how you word this. But when he comes into spring training, Isaac, what do we need from him to get excited from him? And then what do we need from him for 162 in 2025?
Yeah. Last season, as you said, his fastball was averaging 91, and that MLB starters are averaging like 94, 95 on their fastball. And it was his first year back from Tommy John. So the one thing that I'm going to be looking at for specifically is if he can get that fastball up a couple of ticks. And something I could have done research on as well, Aaron, is to see what his velocities were at May opposed to September, for example. Yeah. But
they're about the same. That's why I did the first to last, just AAA. They're about the same. Okay. All the way through Albuquerque.
But yeah, I just think for him to be an MLB starter, first off, it's gonna take his fastball to go up. He had really low chase percentages. Batters in AAA just weren't giving in to pitches outside of the zone, and I think that all would start with a fastball that can dominate and dictate an at bat. And players do usually add a couple of ticks onto their fastball the second year from Tommy John. So I think it's possible, and I think it's something that we can see with Gabriel Hughes.
Yeah, and I mean, on the velocity topic, like I'm not sure, like Tommy John happened, but ultimately, yeah, I'm not sure what has happened. Like in college, he averaged about 94 on his fastball and was touching 97 pretty consistently. And it was one of the better fastballs in the 2022 draft. And that's why Gabe Hughes was taken so early. You know, that the Rockies were content with that as an underslot guy. He gets a ton of extension too. So like when he's sitting 94, 95, that's playing another tick or two up there. I don't know where 91 has come from. Like 3 ticks down from your draft year is concerning, even with Tommy John in the mix. So yeah, building a lot of strength back this offseason will be key. If he can average 93, I think you're back to like, okay, that's Gabriel Hughes. He is a number 4 starter. That's all that really matters, I think, going into spring training and getting some of that power back overall. Like his slider, was a pretty hard pitcher. It really could throw a cutter in college that would touch 90. So would like to see that come back.
Yeah, his other fastballs weren't very apparent in the pitch chart on those games that I looked at. I think he threw a sinker a little bit, but there wasn't that cutter that you're speaking of. And that could just be StatCast at the minor league level, not knowing what the pitch is. But I thought that was interesting, not having a second fastball. But if you're only throwing 91, 92 off of TJ, maybe you're not trying to do too much with all that. I'm really curious of how that development is working. I mean, he had a 8.7% swinging strike percentage in AAA last year, which is fairly below average. When he came on the scene at high A, he was at 14%. So almost dropping 6 ticks in swinging strike percentage just in those few years, which is, again, first rounder. You want a little bit higher. So it'll be interesting. Does he make the starting rotation opening day? Everybody answer on 3. 1, 2, 3.
No.
All right.
We're doing great today, guys. We're on the same page.
He will be probably one of the first 2 called up, depending on some health and whatnot, but not expecting Gabe Hughes to make the opening day roster, but he will be part of the 2025 rotation for sure. Let's move to the other pitcher, Welinton Herrera. We all love Beef. We are enjoying it. He made Baseball America's top 10 prospects for the Colorado Rockies, which I thought was pretty great, but we all agreed with it. It makes sense. We believe that he has major league closing capabilities. However, I'm going to bring to your attention, Tyler, this walk rate that he had in Hartford and the Arizona Fall League. I'm throwing the Arizona Fall League out of the window, though, because that doesn't really count. The walk rate in Hartford compared to Spokane is a little concerning. It was at one point, 3.7 walks per 9, where I think in Spokane, I should have wrote that down, was like a sub 2, maybe even a sub 1.5. His whip was like a 0.7 in Spokane.
Yeah.
Is that a concern when we're going high A to double A and we lose this control? Is that a concern when we're looking at prospects?
I mean, a little bit, but I think with him, and this is more like a generalization. I don't know specifically, and I didn't watch enough of his Hartford games, but I think a young arm. He's not even 22 yet. He's 21 and a half right now.
Yeah.
Young arm, smaller build. Like he does not have a huge build. He's not going to be super durable. I think a young arm, you go through the course of a season, you get tired, your mechanics kind of loosen up a little bit. Like he started the season like pinpoint, precise command. And the jump from high A to double A is big. I don't think it's going to be to the point that he's nibbling so much, especially considering the quality of his stuff. Like you can go attack guys. I think the walks are explained by, tiredness, trying to, adapt his game to the double A level, and really the combination of those two things. He's no longer that just like perfect strike thrower. And I don't think we should expect him to, but like the walk rate he showed in double A was still, you could totally work with that if he's still striking out 30% of guys.
Yeah. And I think that his walk numbers I think his command is better than what his walk numbers entailed. Like in the Arizona Fall League, his walk numbers were not good. He was walking quite a bit of guys, but he's throwing 63% of strikes, and that's a solid rate. I don't think that equates to 8 walks per 9, which he was putting up. And I don't know if he was throwing a 4-seam or if that's something he was working with in the AFL, but he was hardly throwing his 4-seam for strikes. And that was probably a big cause as to why he was walking so many guys. Then I think his command is a lot better than what the walk percentages show, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There's just something about just a little off. I think the long season, he did go 60 plus innings last year in 24, and he went 60 plus innings in this year as well. But I mean, obviously 60 innings in double A are going to be a little bit different than 60 innings in Fresno and Spokane. So something to watch for. Does Welinton make the opening day roster? On 3. 1, 2, 3. No.
Maybe.
No. That's not an answer, Isaac. Stand on something. Yes or no?
No, I'll say no.
Do we want him on there? Yes, absolutely. He does have closing stuff. I think him and Halverson and Vodnik, like that's a crazy 3-headed monster that you can lean on, with Zach Agnos just switching it up as well. The bullpen seems to be okay. So I think adding him in there. Okay. Age-old question. Does it help or hurt pitchers to go to Albuquerque before the major leagues? Should pitchers skip Albuquerque in the Colorado Rockies system?
I think the way things used to stand, yes, they should not go. Like, they should skip. Hopefully we get better processes in place next year and the years forward, where like when they're in AAA, they're being handled like they would be at the big league level. I think guys were showing up there and they didn't have like that toolkit to go attack altitude, and that throws a lot of things off. So in the past, I would have said 100% skip it. Hopefully we can make that an actual like learning ground where you're being taught things by coaches, like, you know, in a very high level versus being taught things by getting crushed.
Yeah, having that communication piece, which hopefully is a system that is being created by Depot, like the AAA is talking to the major leagues who are talking to AA. Everybody's on the same page about player development, so it doesn't feel like, hey, you were doing okay in Albuquerque, and then we're going to completely switch up your game plan in Major League as we go through it. That's kind of what it felt like with Dollander when he first came up. Like, there was no consistent game plan, which was very, very hard to watch. We'll get to the chat here. Luke back here. This is a good question. If Bernabell, Krim, and Johnston are options, how many games or at bats for play appearance are they worth before we've seen enough? Yeah, you guys answer that. I have a general idea in my head.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a set number of plate appearances or at bats.
Again, not answering the question.
I want to see like how well they're facing MLB pitching. Like, if Warming Bernabell isn't chasing as much, I'd love to see him play more games. If Blaine Krim isn't whiffing as much as he was last year, I'd love to see him play more games. And if Troy Johnston just maintains what he did last season, I'd be happy with him in Colorado. But they all have their faults. Warming Bernabell is going to swing all the time, and if that happens in 2026, I don't want to see him getting at bats. If Blaine Krim is striking out over 35% at the time again, I don't want to see him getting at bats. And I think that's where I don't think we're going to see those extremes with Troy Johnston at all. Not answering your question, I'm sorry, but I think Troy Johnston is just a safe bet.
Okay, so answer this question, Isaac. What does Troy Johnston not have to do for Charlie Condon to get the call?
I mean, Troy Johnston is just like he's solid. He's really solid.
Exactly.
I think if he just doesn't produce, I think a good threshold for Troy Johnston is like a 90-ish WRC plus. And I think he can be around that 100 or average range. If it's anything lower than 90 of a WRC plus, then I'd be okay with maybe calling up Charlie Condon, depending on. There's a lot of variables to this question.
Let's say Condon's raking. Condon's raking. Johnston has a 2-week slide. He goes from 95 WRC plus down to 86. Are you making the call?
Yeah, Troy Johnston can play corner outfield. He's a guy.
So you're replacing Beck with Troy Johnston.
I think Troy Johnston should be playing games. I don't know.
All right, we found your guy this year. I agree. I think it's a play-by-play, right? But at a certain point, 50 games of Blaine Krim doing 220 batting average with like a 660 OPS, it's time to cut ties, right? I agree with Johnston. I think he's the most major league ready here. I don't think you shouldn't have a very long leash with Warming Bernabell. The only thing he really has going for him, he can play either corner spot. But I don't think the leash should be very long for any of them, especially if Charlie Condon's producing at all at the lower levels. Yeah, Toglia and Rolison out, which leads to the talk about the Rockies' ability to develop first-round talents. Do you guys think Montgomery or Veen can be salvaged? I think Veen can be. I feel bad for Benny. I just don't think he's going to get it figured out, at least not in this organization. Maybe you can go do a Mickey Moniak impression somewhere else. But I think Zach Veen still is a major league caliber player. I am very curious how Depot and Warren and company deal with Zach Veen in 2025, handle Zach Veen in 2025. Because I think we can all agree, right, Tyler, that Zach Veen didn't get a fair shot last year.
I mean, I think he got a fair shot, but he has a lot to improve on. But he's one of those guys you look at, you can tell, hey, there's not only talent here, but there's also skill. Like, he has developed his talent into skill. But the swing right now needs a lot of work. It's less about the swing. I mean, I've seen it kind of was the same with Ethan Holiday to start his career, and hopefully that's something that gets cleaned up a little bit. Like some of these guys who don't have great bat to ball skills to begin with, having a holding their hands in a position that makes the swing longer, starting slower, all these things. Like I don't know why he's always had kind of that like Cody Bellinger setup. It makes his swing long, and he can't get around on velocity up and in. So I think shortening that, bringing his hands a little bit more forward. I mean, I'm not hitting coach at all. So, but it certainly seems like his swing has, a few inches of added length, and everybody knows baseball is a game of inches. So that swing's getting long. I think you can shorten his swing. Veen could be a very solid player. Like again, all the skill is there otherwise. So
got to put the skill to a tool. Figured it out there. All right. So last person they've added to the 40-man has added to the outfield logjam that we have, which is fun to kind of talk about, is Sterling Thompson, who had a great season last year. Traditional stats. He had a 911 OPS last year, 296 average. He had 28 doubles, 18 home runs, 66 strikeouts, less than a 25% strikeout rate. I can't do the math real quick on that. I have the wrong screen up. About an 8% walk rate. Everything you kind of want to see from a AAA guy in Sterling Thompson, who I've been high on. I think he's a major league talent as well. What do you expect out of Sterling Thompson, Isaac? Because I know probably paragraph 5 on your 3-page note sheet there is all about Sterling Thompson. But what do you got for us here?
On my note page, I put jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to his offensive profile. Like there's nothing that stands out that you see you're going to be like, oh, he's going to that's going to translate to the MLB, but everything could. Like he doesn't strike out too much. He doesn't walk a little bit. Like he has good discipline. He hits the ball. He can hit the ball pretty hard sometimes, but usually like if a AAA player has really good plate discipline, you could probably guess they're going to walk quite a bit at the MLB level. Or if they hit the ball hard and consistently, they're going to be hitting the ball hard and consistently at the MLB. But with Sterling Thompson, it's just all like above average compared to everybody else in the Pacific Coast League, the AAA team the Isotopes play for league. I think it's just we're going to have to see how he does in games, but I don't know how he fits into the Rockies lineup to see how he produces. So that raises just another question in itself.
I mean, what position, Tyler? What position does Sterling Thompson play right now?
I think he could play many. I think we've always kind of had this talk about him, like people being like, oh, where did like, what position does he play? We don't have space for him here or there. And I think he can play first base. I think he can play left field, DH him. So that gives you 3 lineup spots to put him, and really you're putting him in there for the bat. So you don't want to put him in. You probably don't want to put him in right field because I don't know that his arm meets right field standards to be able to make that throw over to third base when necessary. So left field, first base, DH. I think all those spots technically you could make time for him. Jordan Beck. I know he had a little Twitter situation going on. Jordan Beck could play right field. Like he's probably not going to be the opening day right fielder, but Jordan Beck could play right field on any given day.
Do we see him at second base? He has history at second base. We don't really have a second baseman now that Estrada was bought out. The mutual option wasn't figured out. There's no second baseman right now. Amador. That's a different conversation. Could Sterling Thompson push for second base out of the gate if they don't bring anybody else in?
No.
No?
I don't think he has the actions there. And he definitely doesn't have the experience in the mind. He played 1 game there, I think, in 2024.
Yeah, it was 1.
That's the last time he played second base. So that's over. That's basically 2 years ago at this point. I just don't think he's been developed up there.
Yeah, 95 games in left field last year, 80 games in left field the year before. The last time you played 10 or more games at second base was in 2023 for the Hartford Yard Goats when he did not have a very good year, and that was his defense of being spread out all the way. We are down to 10 minutes of our hard deadline. So of course that happened. We didn't get into it. And I see in the chat, it's a great conversation for me and Isaac to get into. The the tendering of contracts was done the other day, which does not mean that the Rockies have signed these players, just that there is an agreement on a contract to be sent to these players. I don't know how long they have. Tyler's going to tell us all about that here in a little bit when I stop talking. But the Rockies have tendered contracts to Brenton Doyle, Ryan Feltner, Tyler Freeman, Jimmy Herget, Miggy Moniak, and Bernardino. Forget his first name, Brennan Bernardino. They all been tendered contracts, all for a certain amount of money, all less than 4.2, probably, all more than 1.1, probably. And that got us into a conversation about who should be in right field. There's this argument that it should be Mickey Moniak because he had a great year last year. Not true. Or it should be Yanquiel Fernandez because he has major league talent and major league tools. Before we get into it, Isaac, I'll let you go first. You're probably more prepared than I am. How long do these players, Tyler, have to sign these contracts? And what happens if they don't sign these contracts?
They basically have to at this point. Like the Rocks. So what the tender deadline means, and yeah, we saw a lot of talk about this. Manu Randhawa reported effectively that they came to an agreement. All tendering a contract means is that you as the team have obligated yourself to a contract. That contract, the terms are not known. What's going to happen now is the players, the team are going to negotiate that potential salary. And if they don't come to an agreement by January 8th, I believe it is this year, the team and the player will file to go to arbitration. They'll file whichever figure they want to get. The team will file lower. The player will file a higher. Can't talk right now. And then they still have more time to negotiate after that. It'll be like late January, I think maybe even early February. There's arbitration hearings. At that point, every player is getting a contract. So what the tender deadline means is that player is going to get a contract. They will likely be in the organization. You could still trade these players right now. Their new team would now have the responsibility, though, of figuring out that contract. It sounds bigger than it is. Like they're under team control, and the players just now have a little bit of say into how much money they get paid.
Yeah, because we saw Braden Ward traded for Brennan Bernardino, who has just got tendered a contract by the Colorado Rockies, even though he was with the Red Sox before. Like we took on that contract as the Colorado Rockies. But Taylor Meyer in here in the chat, no arm strength didn't stop Moniak from playing right field. LOL. I'm hoping for Yank it takes right field this year. Go ahead, state your case, Isaac, why you think it's Mickey Moniak and why
So Yanquiel Fernandez, 70 grade power, hits the ball hard when he does. But one thing that's stopping him from doing that is a 40% chase rate in AAA last season. He chases the ball all the time, and he doesn't get the pitch to hit. But like the bad thing is he's improved his contact rates a lot. Like he doesn't whiff that often, pitches in the zone, like competitive pitches. So when he's swinging at those pitches outside of the zone 40% of the time, he's hitting them into fair territory, and you're not going to be able to hit home runs off of pitches that are a foot off the plate. And that's just we saw a 15% increase in strikeout percentages from AAA to the MLB. And I'm going to have a really quick line here that's going to prove why Moniak is better. Moniak's slugging percentage was .518 in Major League Baseball, which was higher than Yanquiel Fernandez's .504 slugging percentage in AAA, in the PCL, the easiest place in professional baseball to slug, essentially. So Mickey Moniak is doing it better in the MLB than Yanquiel Fernandez is doing it in the PCL. I don't see a argument. I'm sorry. I want to hear your argument, though.
I love that you are sticking with that. But you just compared one season to a career long, which I don't think is fair, because go ahead and look up Mickey Moniak's minor league numbers and major league numbers, and you're going to see a different story than his 560 OPS. And then let me know about his splits, home road and left versus right. I agree. Yanquiel Fernandez's whiff issues are huge. We saw it with our boy Euleris. We saw it with our boy Michael Toglia. We saw it with whoever else you want to put in there in the Rockies realm of the last 3 years who have big swing and miss. We see that. But Yanquiel Fernandez, the thing that I love about Yanquiel Fernandez and why I think he is that major league caliber is because he did all of that last year. A rookie year, off and on playing time. And he was still able to produce like at a league average with the barrel rate. It's the hard hit percentages, the solid percent, like not so good. I think that goes to your argument of the whiffing and the swinging contact stuff. But and then he's doing those things, the power numbers, because he's a power guy, while sucking at the plate. He's still putting that out there. But he has a history of being a lowish strikeout, 20% strikeout guy with a high walk rate in the minor leagues. And that's something that we've seen. And like, if you can take anything to the major league levels, that's going to translate is this walk strikeout percentage. And so that's clearly in there. However, his whiff rate in the 40% at the major league, minor league level is crazy. That's why I don't know if necessarily sitting down in AAA is great for hitters, because we saw Eulerys Montero absolutely dominate the AAA. We saw Michael Tolio go down and absolutely rake in the AAA. We've seen Zach Veen go down and do better last year, right? Like, we're not seeing all that. So my argument is not that it should be given to Yanquiel Fernandez, but if you are having to choose Mickey Moniak or Yanquiel Fernandez next year to think about the future, I believe Yanquiel Fernandez has more of the future as a Colorado Rocky than Mickey Moniak. Therefore, it should lean towards Yanquiel Fernandez. I also believe that skill set, because again, all of the stuff, the power, the contact percentage stuff is league average when he sucks at the whiffing rate. Track record says he does know the zone enough to kind of figure that out. More experience with that, I think, makes that stuff get better. Where I think we kind of know what Mickey Moniak is. We know he's going to be great on the road against whoever, right hand, left hand. I couldn't tell you if Mickey Moniak is left handed, right handed, which is crazy because I saw him play so much. I'm terrible at that. But I know, I just think there's something about the track record of Yanquiel Fernandez that says I much rather lean in on this 22, 23-year-old than a 27-year-old former first rounder who happened to have a good year at Coors Field. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. If I have to start somebody in right field opening day with where our roster is right now, it's probably Sterling Thompson, but it's Yanquiel Fernandez for the sake of this argument.
Yeah, and I think that's a good place to like leave it open-ended for the viewers to make a
Tyler, who won?
To decide.
I mean, I think that they represent two different things. So, you know, I think Fernandez needs time to continue developing because it's been a weird minor league career from him. Yeah, he went from early on, it's like, oh, this guy is getting his power in game a lot, to suddenly this guy isn't getting his power in game at all. And the strikeouts have come and gone. Like, it just doesn't seem like he's ever found that balance. And I want to see him find that balance. And he was clearly a little bit outmatched by MLB pitching last year. So I want to see him start in the minors. Mickey Moniak is Mickey Moniak. I don't think he's a part of the future necessarily, but can he play himself into, you know, being traded or just continuing to be a contributor? At this point, the contributors are still contributors. Like, you're going to play good players, even if you're not trying to make the playoffs. So I think Moniak starts opening day. Yanquiel Fernandez will get his chance.
Who has more trade value right now? Mickey Moniak and roughly his estimated $4.2 million arbitration dead contract that's fairly due to him, or Yanquiel Fernandez?
Mickey Moniak, just because you know, like, a team trading for him is like, okay, that guy hopefully boosts our outfield this year. A team trading for Fernandez, you know, you're getting a ton of, there's just such an unknown there. I don't think either has a ton of trade value, but we just saw Taylor Ward go for basically an ace caliber talent. Injuries aside, like, that was a steep price. If that's what Taylor Ward is going for, I think Mickey Moniak is worth a quarter to a third of that at least. That's still a very, very solid return. I don't think that Yanquiel Fernandez would get you anything other than a prospect with a very similar, position right now. And as they go through their career of, this guy's not quite a big leaguer yet, but he's also been through the minors. So I think that's kind of where he stands.
Okay, so Isaac, who would you trade before opening day? Would you trade Mickey Moniak or Yanquiel Fernandez? If the return, it seems to be about the same. The return is going to be about the same.
I mean, I'd trade Mickey Moniak.
Okay. And I'm not doing that to set my argument.
Gotcha.
I like these kind of questions because, like, again, you and I think differently about all these kind of things, but we usually end up coming back to we're in agreement with whatever it is. So I'm just, it's just fun to ask those questions. So does Yankiel Fernandez, answer on 3, does he on the opening day roster, not playing right field, is he on the opening day roster? Because he did end the season last year with the Colorado Rockies. Answer on 3, 1, 2, 3. Yes.
No.
Ooh. Who's that 5th guy?
I think you need a diversity of talents, and I think that relies on defense kind of being in those positions. So I think you have Beck, you have Doyle, you have Freeman, who's probably going to play the outfield quite a bit. You have Moniak. And then from there, it might be Troy Johnston. It might be Sterling Thompson. I don't quite think Fernandez offers like the diversity of skill set that you want on a guy who's probably not going to play all that often.
Yeah, Troy Johnston is probably the guy that I wasn't thinking of when I answered that. I still am sticking with Yank. I love Yank. I'm all in on Yank. All right, we are at our 45-minute mark. Anything that we should cover? Yes, last one. End it with this. Rule 5 is December 10th, one of our fun days of the year that we all like because it's just fun. It's stupid. Like it doesn't like it's such a lackluster thing because about 20 teams don't choose anybody, and then there's one team that picks 5 guys. But the Rule 5 draft is coming up in December 10th. Isaac, you go first. Who is a name or two that we should be looking out for the Colorado Rockies to select? I believe they still have first pick because I think the Rule 5 is based on your record. It has nothing to do with the lottery system. So we do get first pick in the Rule 5. Who are some of these guys that we should keep an eye out on December 10th?
The 2 I'll pick are RJ Pettit. He's 6'8". He's 300 pounds. He's just an anomaly. He throws the ball in the mid-90s. He has good command. He strikes out a lot of people, has a high strikeout percentage. His changeup and sinker both have some pretty low vertical movement. So that's why he's inducing so much ground balls. And like his slider has negative vertical movement as well. And it got a lot of whiffs at AAA. I think he's somebody who's going to translate to Coors Field and the MLB pretty smoothly. I would not be surprised if the Rockies pick him with the first overall. And okay, I'm going to do two more guys just really quick. Francis Pena, he's with the Padres right now. He has like a 66-degree arm angle. He throws in the mid-90s, can dial it up to 98, I think. He has a sinker that has a lot of arm movement, which is a pretty outlier pitch. He has bad command, but he definitely has an MLB arsenal. Second guy is Gavin Collier. I think he's with the Reds. Should have fact-checked. But he has an 11-degree arm angle, the same as Jake Bird's. He has a really sweepy slider, 14 inches of horizontal break, which would be the 5th most in Major League Baseball, around like Juan Mejia. And his four-seam and sinker both average 96. I think all 3 are guys who will be selected this Rule 5. And I think the Rockies can go either way. But RJ Pettit will be my...
Is Pettit a starter?
They're all relievers.
All relievers. Okay. And what team is the Pettit for?
Pettit, I think it's the Tigers. I should have fact-checked really quick.
It's not coming up. All right. Tyler, who's your guy?
He is.
He is a Tiger.
He's a Tiger. My one would be Peyton Pallett, former, I think he's like an early second rounder of the White Sox in 2022. He has every kind of tool you want from a starting pitcher. I think there's things to work on, most notably command. Like it's not like he's walking a ton of guys, but that is that next step for him to limit damage is to be a little bit more precise. But he's got 4 workable pitches. I think 2 that end up being average MLB offerings. Pedigree is there, arm strength is there. He's in the mid-90s pretty consistently. My other guys, Troy Watson, who's also with the Tigers, he's a little bit less traditional because I think he's been Rule 5 eligible before. He was really close to getting on the Tigers roster later this season, but it's kind of hard to add prospects so late when the postseason's coming around. But he's a guy also with arm talent. Really good results this past season. I think he had a 2.75 ERA and 104 minor league innings. might serve a bit of a hybrid role, which is interesting. And then Zach McCambley from Miami. That would be an interesting relief option. He has 2 really good breaking balls. Fastball velocity is there. I don't know that he has a standout fastball, but I think you could get a really good reliever out of Zach McCambley. And then also, I think Daniel Susak's a fun name to think about. I think he was a top 20 pick in 2022. He's a catcher. So I don't know that a catcher gets picked. But for the Rockies, I think that backup catcher spot is very much open for grabs. Daniel Susak has pedigree. He has tools behind the plate, and I think he could become a league average bat in time. So that'd be a more risky one. I think with that first pick in the Rule 5 draft, you're just going to go with the pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, catchers are usually the number 2 position that gets picked up in Rule 5. Very few position players actually get selected. Do you guys know this answer off the top of your best Rule 5 pickup ever by the Colorado Rockies? I don't think it was Anthony Molina.
I don't know.
I know we've covered this in the past, but I don't know off the top of my head.
They've gone a lot of years foregoing the Rule 5 draft, which is extremely questionable. So I'm not good at remembering.
Yeah. We'll get back to you on that, Wild. We got to get out of here. We all have deadlines. We have things that we got to go do. Appreciate you all listening, participating. Love the chat as always. And make sure you share with your mom. We are her favorite podcast. She just does not know it yet. Go Rockies and the minor league affiliates. Woo!